5 or 6. Are you sure it's 6?
This is a perfect place to start out a podcast, right?
This is
Where are we?
perfect.
What podcast is
It's
It's
this?
on
5.
YouTube, right?
It's 5. Yeah, it's 5. I looked at
I
it
look it
earlier.
up right now.
We're on episode 5. Chief is having to fact check us. We're on episode 5, guys.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Broco podcast, or whatever episode we're on. There's some debate as to whether it's 5 or 6. It's 5. I'm saying it's 5. Chief's gotta fact check us
Anybody
before
can
we
do
start
this.
it.
That's the great thing.
Oh no, go
That's
ahead.
good.
I'm looking for it. I know I
All
haven't
right.
subscribed. I'm like looking through my subscriptions right now.
All
Oh,
right.
it's in my raise. Okay, I'm on the wrong account. I'm on my. You know what? I'm gonna subscribe. What is it? Bro code, right?
The bro
Bro
code.
code
Yeah,
podcast. There it is.
bro. We gotta look it up.
The bro, because there's a couple of them.
There's like a bro code, and then I don't know. There's a lot of them that sound
Uh huh.
similar. We're one of them. Welcome, guys, to whatever episode this is, and our guest. We'll get to it in a second because this is
There it
we need
is.
to find the
All right,
answer
you
to
got
this.
another subscription from my Raising Alphas account.
Boom. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
It's episode 5.
One,
We're
two,
talking about
three.
goals, and
Episode
one of this
4.
is going
No.
to be. It's 6. No, is it really?
Mm.
Yeah,
I stand corrected.
I
I was
mean,
way
knew
off.
it.
episode 1. I
Oh,
don't see
shoot.
episode so your self-discipline at Cornerstone with the Tyron. That was
Yeah.
episode 3, but it doesn't have it marked. You just have to update it. But yeah,
Oh, shit. Okay.
imposter syndrome was episode 5.
Dang it. Wow. All right. My bad, guys. Welcome to episode 6 of the Broco podcast. Friggin' whatever. Maybe I should stop doing intros from here on out because I can't keep track of what episode we're on. But welcome, me, John, Mike, with you today, and our guest, Chief Stephen Davis. Chief, how are you tonight?
Doing well, doing great.
It's good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, bro. Thank you so much for jumping on, man. It is good to see you and hear from you as always. You want to do a quick introduction real quick before we jump into it and kind of tell people who you are, your story. Our topic tonight, we're going to go over like goal setting, overcoming failure and stuff like that. And Chief, you were the first person that came to mind. So
Well, I appreciate you bringing me onto the show. Thank you so much. I love that you guys are jumping in episode 6. Glad to be a part of episode 6 and talk about this. But yeah, I was a chief officer in the fire service. I worked for 2 different departments. The majority of my career was at Orange County Fire, and I finished my career over in Lake County Fire. Great departments. I enjoyed my time while I was there. I had an unfortunate ending to my career in Orange County. It led to my termination. That had to do with a lot of the stuff that was going on, the politics in 2020, where it came down to the vaccination shot. I don't know if you're going to bleep that out or not, but
nah.
anyways, long of the short is the department put a mandate out to say everyone needed to get vaccinated, and those who didn't would get reprimanded. And I noticed early on, especially being so in tuned with a lot of the men and women that I oversaw, that a lot of them were vaccinated. A lot of them had medical religion. A lot of them had religious exemptions, and they were on this list. And so when I presented it to my leadership, who failed, not only me, they failed the department, but when I presented it to with my leadership, they just said, let them write them up, let them grieve it later. And that's when I knew that they were doing something wrong, corrupt, immoral, and just violated code of conduct, code of ethics, all kinds of different things. And so I stood up, said I wasn't going to do that. And ultimately it cost me my career. It cost me my passion in the fire service, but on to bigger and better things, right? So
That's it.
you can't live in the past. You gotta move forward. I've done a lot of great things in the last, I've been gone for 3.5 years from Orange County. So it's
It's
a lot's
crazy.
happened then.
A
But
lot
in a
has
nutshell,
happened.
that's me.
That sounds like you're
a
gonna have money
nutshell for
coming your
sure.
way here before too long. The way
Yeah,
things are going.
I was on the phone with my attorney today, and we got him right where we want him. So it's moving along. It's taking a lot longer than hoped, But in reality, when you're dealing with a large lawsuit, a federal lawsuit, is what I have, you're going to be in a waiting game, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is when you fight a lawsuit like a government entity like Orange County, they have unlimited amount of money. They're a billion-dollar corporation. So you have to be strategic, and you have to just continue to know that what you're doing is for the right reasons. What you're doing is going to be found in the end as that, hey, everything I said was true, and I just got to stick with it. So be strong, be courageous, and I lead. And I don't
Yeah.
follow.
No, for sure, man. And we wish you well with that. We know it's been a long time coming, but it'll be worth it in the end, like you said.
Oh yeah.
And you've been leading for a long time. I think when I first met you, you were heading up our paramedic program. You were the one that gave me my medic key when I graduated and passed all our protocol stuff. And then we just kind of went off from there, man. It was a good time. So ever since I've known you,
Yeah,
you've been leading, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I talk about it. I'm wearing my shirt, "The Lone in the Fire," a book. It's a book I wrote talking about essentially. I'll go ahead and show it and plug
Yeah,
myself in
that's
right
very
there.
good.
But you can find that on my website, chiefstephendavis.com. I talk about in the book about leading and where I essentially started, and it really goes back to when I was a young kid and just being put. I was raised by two great parents, a mother and a father. They're now divorced, but they didn't divorce until I actually entered the fire service, and so I was a grown man when they divorced. But I had two parents, loving parents. We went to church and Sunday school, and I was just around a lot of good people and had a good foundation, and ended up going into the military. I was very heavily into sports, football, soccer, all kinds of other things growing up, martial arts. Went away to the military, only built on that foundation, continue to build on that foundation, and just continue to just have people lead me. And I had a lot of good leaders and I had a lot of bad leaders, and I've learned from both sides. Even the poor leaders that I had in Orange County, while I take something from them because they gave me a path of what not to do, and sometimes you
Yeah.
have to learn from that.
Hmm.
And
No,
so yeah, I loved it.
that was good. Because your goal, since this is like goal setting kind of topic, as you grew as a leader, your goal was to finish out your career in the fire service, correct? Before the rug got pulled out in front of you, you kept setting goals for yourself within the fire service, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, my goal was to do. I knew that I was a career-long fireman. I knew that that was the passion that I wanted to be as a young man. Before I went into the military, I even asked my recruiter that, hey, I wanted to be a firefighter in the military. At the time that I went in, they had just discontinued that position, the MOS, and so I
Hmm.
ended up being a medic. I was a medic in an infantry unit, then I was a medic in a hospital, then I was a medic on a Black Hawk, and loved the job, enjoyed it a lot. Then ended up saying, I really want to try. I started to go through the Special Forces program and was like, you know what, let me take a step back. I really want to meet that passion of being a fireman. So I got out of the military, joined the fire service with Orange County, had a great career, loved it, promoted very fast. I was one of the youngest guys to reach chief when I did it in like 10 years. I loved it. Was very, very passionate when I was there. You said you met me. I was a lieutenant when I was doing the paramedic program, but
Oh
um,
yeah, I guess you were.
it
Yeah.
was yeah, I was a lieutenant at the time. Yeah, I revamped the paramedic program. Started. I see you got your dive hat on. Started the dive
Yeah.
program there. Was able to put people in place. Give a lot of credit to Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen is the one that has turned that dive program to something special today. Diana Alexander, she's the one that turned that paramedic program into what it is today. And it was really, I'm not the best at everything I do. I just know where to pick people and pick a team. And that's where I excel is picking a team and placing them. And I wasn't the best diver. I was a good diver. I wasn't the best paramedic. I was a good paramedic, but I knew the right people that could make the programs really last and have that longevity and have that success. And that's where my gift was. So, and that's where you see it today. I mean, you see the dive program today. I see it. It's
Yeah.
done great things. Very happy about it.
Yeah, he's brought us far, man. It's quite
Yeah.
impressive now. Yeah, with the growth that we've had on that team. And it's been an honor to be a part of. It's been really fun. It's probably the
Oh yeah.
funnest thing I have to say that I do here for this department, quite
Yeah,
honestly.
it
So
really is it is a pretty cool job. You do some night dives and then,
yeah,
kind of get in some murky waters, do some of the stuff at the springs. That's kind of
yeah,
fun.
yeah, which is
But I
actually
don't
the
know if you
training
guys
we
still
have
do that.
coming up.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
yep.
cool.
Next week I'll be
I,
at Wakawa.
oh, cool. I'll be there just hanging out, watching you guys making fun of you.
Drinking on your inner tube saying, "Hey, I remember when I used to do that."
Yep,
Lucky
that'll be
you.
me.
Lucky you. Yeah, yeah, I look forward to
Yep,
it.
yep.
So, uh, that's good. I never thought about leadership as well, never thought, but I love that you brought up the fact that being a leader comes with knowing who to pick. And knowing who to pick and who to put in the right places help you achieve your goals, which also I'm sure helped, obviously Lieutenant Allen runs the dive program now, Diane is a captain. And so that during that way, it helped them achieve their goals also, knowing who to surround yourself with and who to pick to help not only your success and help you hit your goals, but also help bring them up and help other people hit their goals too is so important, man. I love that you brought that up.
So it's something that I talk about in my book, and it's something that I've learned in the years, being in the military. I always use an acronym called, in the Army, it was leadership, and the acronym is spelled out LDRSHIP. And I talk about this a lot. I say it in my book. I've talked about it in a lot of leadership things that I've done. But loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And from the day that I learned that, I was about 17 years old, just joining in the delayed entry program of the U.S. Army. That was something that went on my dog tags, and I carried it around with pride. And I always thought leadership, that's what I wanted to make sure that I had leadership, and as I had all
Mhm.
of those specific qualities of a leader. And got to have loyalty. You got to have
Yeah.
your duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. Those all are key elements in a true leadership. But as I grew, as I became a chief officer, does that really apply to me as a leader? Absolutely. But when I started writing Alone in the Fire, I came up with a different one, and I kind of addressed it or kind of used my play on words with the word ladder. So LADDR was what I used, and in this type of what am I trying to say? In this type of acronym, it's legitimate. Okay, so when you earn a rank, you have a legitimate rank structure, and you have to be that person that I earned the rank of lieutenant, I earned the rank of battalion chief, a division chief, and I had that legitimate. But and people will follow you based on your rank. Okay, but does that really make you a leader? Yeah, in a way, yes. You'll get people to go the direction you want to go, but really, what's really get is when you start climbing that ladder, when you create the aligning, you align with those people, and you're spending that time, and they align with what your message is, and they go, all right, Steve is doing this, Steve is doing that, and I align with his message because he's taking care of one another, each other. You dedicate yourself is the D in there, and when I do my dedications, I would spend as a battalion chief in Orange County, I would spend hours going around to firehouses. And it wasn't just like, hey, Chief's here. He's here to check on whether or not training's done. No, I would train with you guys. I would dedicate my time to know your who your spouse is, especially my officers. I always knew the wives' names, the spouses' names, and their children. My firefighters, I knew who they were. I knew they had kids. I didn't know everybody's spouse's name, but I tried to do that. I made that a point is to take notes on my phone. I'm like, all right, this person has two kids. This person has a wife, a husband, so on and so on. This person likes to go do this, play golf, play soccer. They like to watch movies, comedies, stuff like that. I would take that dedication to my team, and then I move up in that ladder, okay, and it's called development. And so as I'm a person, like I mentioned, Brandon and Diana, great individuals, developing them because I knew that I wasn't going to be a lieutenant forever. I knew I wasn't going to be a battalion chief forever. I knew that I had goals to reach the top of the positions. So you develop those individuals. You develop those individuals to hold your position. How do they become a better you? Well, here's where I did really well. And here's where I failed. Here's some of the things that a lot of things that we say on our show, the Raising Alphas Project, is we don't fail, we learn, and sometimes we learn a lot. So I win a lot and I learn a lot. And so what I've tried to teach people now is that you're learning how to be a better me. If I'm a good leader, I want you to be a better leader than me. I want you to be better by learning some of the places that I failed. And so that's part of the ladder of developing your next people in line. You know, a firefighter becoming an engineer, engineer becoming a lieutenant, lieutenant, captain, captain, fire, battalion chief, and so on and so on. You teach them, you develop them. And then finally, and I don't know if I'll ever be there, so I say this in the book, my book, Alone in the Fire, but rally. People want to rally to something that's really, really strong. They want someone that is leading them. They want to rally to that person, not because they have the rank, not because it's because they have the rank. They've aligned with them in their message. They've dedicated their time. They've taken the time to develop them. And they're like, Steve is this person, or Ian is this person. John, Mike is this person that I want to just be around and follow because of who he is, of all the different things. And so I think that encompasses everything about a leader, especially in the fire service, is to go through that ladder, each one, and hit each individual step. And that's where I'm hoping to be right now. I'm still achieving that. I think rallying is being at the higher level. I could have made fire chief at some fire department, wherever I decided to put my hat, hang my hat. But I'm reaching the bigger community now. Those are the things I'm trying to do now is Raising Alpha's project. And I'm teaching people to do other things, bigger things, better parts of their lives, being the best version of themselves. And that's where I really want to look at today.
So I got to jump in here. You say something, and I don't want it to slip by a listener. Like, you're talking about developing people to be a better leader than you are. And I think there are a lot of men out there that don't realize both the courage and the pride that comes with that. Because, like, we all have our experiences. We all have our life. In 10 years, you made chief. That's an incredible accomplishment. And to say that you want to teach somebody to be better than you now.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you build a legacy. And that's how you truly develop, you can call it an army if you will. You develop an army that grows together and can overcome things that wouldn't have been imaginable without that kind of leadership. And that's really the difference between leadership and management, in my very humble opinion, when we talk about it.
No, you're absolutely right. I think in order to reach those goals, it does take some experience. It does take, a career, a lifetime to get there. And you have to be humble enough to admit when you've wrong, when you've messed up. And I've made mistakes as a leader. I've seen a lot of things, and I'm my biggest critic. I'm the person that'll look in the mirror and be like, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this. I remember one of my first fires as a battalion chief, and it was a lot of, I don't want to say stress, because I could handle stress. As a firefighter, you handle stress very easily. It's something we live for. But it was a different type of environment, because I was the person that was the guy on the rescue that everybody joked around with, or the lieutenant that had good command, but was still just kind of one of the guys. And now I'm commanding this big incident. And I had a bunch of the guys that I came up with, all lieutenants, saying, hey, chief, you should do this. Hey, chief, you should do this. And all great strategies for this fire. But the problem with that is you can't take everybody's recommendation or suggestion.
Yeah.
But I would say, look, this is the direction I'm going to go. I want everybody to do this. And if this doesn't work, and you have to be that person that sits on that fire or sits on that incident and goes, yeah, this isn't working. Let's pull back and go, hey, Ian, what did you say? You said something I think was what I was missing. Let's try that real quick. And so I that's how I operated. I would pick away, and you have to pick away because guys are looking at you to make a quick decision. And when you're in this type of business and that type of business, you have to make decisions quickly. So I went and made the decision. It worked out, but every single person that was on there, they had their own strategy. And I truly believe that those would have worked as well because we had a strong team. We had a very, very, very unique dynamic in that battalion that I was assigned to. And guys worked hard. They worked every day hard. And I think that was the best part of it.
That's incredible. I mean, that's awesome. So Ian had to run on a call for anybody who didn't catch that. I think we get it. That happens. When it comes down to it, you've developed leaders. and you've developed leaders who are now developing leaders. Like, there is generational shift that's happened because of your leadership, and the entire topic of this podcast being goal setting. What have been some of the more memorable goals that you've set in your career, whether you reached them or not?
In my career?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there were obviously some goals I wasn't able to accomplish. I will say that I did accomplish most of the things that I set myself out for. Whether it was being in the critical care, whether it was achieving the rank of chief officer, division chief, being a part of the special ops. I was part of a truck program. I was part of a squad program. I was part of the dive team. I managed our competition paramedic team. While I was there, we had, I think, like 30 different competitions around the state, and we were looking at a New York trip when COVID hit, so that got canceled. But there was a lot of things that I accomplished, and I ran a ton of calls. And as far as a career goes in the fire service, I think the one thing that I didn't hit was probably that 5 bugle chief that I really wanted to establish. But now I have a brand now that's really labels me a chief executive officer. So I'm a fire chief to a chief executive officer of my own companies. I've got multiple companies now that I run. I'm very successful with these companies. I've authored a book. I always wanted an author a book. A good friend of mine who started with me in Orange County in the fire department, he wrote a book like 12, 13 years ago, and I thought that was the coolest thing when he told me he was an author. He was a fireman, and I was like, "How? You're a fireman and you're an author now?" And I always it was kind of like that seed that he planted years and years ago. And so now I have a story out. When I got terminated from Orange County, I have a story, and I was able to put all my thoughts into a book. And it's just part one of my book, where I've got part two coming out sometime within the next year. But I just wrote my second book that's getting ready to get published. It's actually sitting over here in the corner. It's already been produced. I'm gonna start marketing it here in the next probably 2 weeks. But these are some of the things that being in a career like the fire department or the military, I think I hit a lot of the good things. So to answer your question, I mean, I don't have any, I don't have any feeling that I didn't accomplish things that I wanted to. Like, I didn't hit the fire chief position. It is what it is. I'm looking forward, not behind me anymore.
That's awesome. And I think there's also something to be said for the guy that can look around and say, you know what, I'm gonna move on from here.
Yeah.
Had enough. This is where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go take my success somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've always kind of said to myself since I was a little man is, God help me be successful. And success is really kind of, it could be, there's a metric. I mean, there's no way to really give a metric on that, because how am I successful in the fire service? How am I successful in business? I mean, there's all kinds of different metrics that you can look at as far as like being successful. Am I successful that I did that I didn't? Am I not successful because I didn't do 25 years in the fire service? You could say that. Some people will say that's the milestone, is to hit 25 years, but I did 22 years altogether in public safety. To me, that's success. I climbed to a third in command of a fire department. That is success. I have a degree, a master's degree from the University of Florida. That was a success. It was a school that I always wanted to go to. So there's a lot of things that you can kind of say that, what is your success? What if you were to make it home the next morning to your family, be a good husband, be a good father? That's success. Are you able to make all your kids' soccer games or football games? That's success. Maybe you don't become a fire chief. Maybe you don't become a lieutenant. Maybe you're a fireman for 25, 30 years. That's success. You were able to go in every single day, show up, and make it out alive, be a good husband, be a good father, be a good wife, be a good, mother, so on and so on. To me, I think you can label success in a lot of different metrics. So it just depends on what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I could even say, am I successful because I lost a ton of money in a business? Yeah, I could say I'm successful that way too, because I learned a lot. So
right,
that's one way to look at it.
Most will never have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But no, that's good. So many people think, when we're talking goal setting and success, it's got to be either monetary or like have the big things or something. But you made such a good point, Chief, where it's like just on your day-to-day living, just how you interact with your family. Were you successful?
Yeah.
Set your goal. I can be better today than I was yesterday. That's a goal you can set. That's being successful. And it's almost more important because it's tangible, it's feasible. You can measure it and it's personal. It's personal growth that's growing you. And then, you're better for it for the people around you. And a lot of people, I think, including myself, miss that sometimes.
I think that's what's important about reflecting on yourself. Like I said, I'm not a person that doesn't look in the mirror and go, yeah, I messed up there or I messed up here. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not the perfect husband. I'm not the perfect dad. There's
Right.
mistakes. I'm not the perfect business partner. There's a lot of mistakes I make or things I have to learn. But that's part of being successful is that learning process and going through those difficult times. But the true goal is to be better. My goal for my children is to be a better father, be a better man one day when they get older. Teach them to be, right now their biggest thing is school and sports. So I want them to be the best student. They're already better students than I ever was. I think they're, and this is a biased opinion, but because I'm dad, but they're super intelligent. They're super skilled, they're super talented. I just provide them with the resources and I say, look, and I give them my time. Look, I will spend all as much time as I can. I'll go out there and shoot basketball with you or throw the ball, football, basketball, soccer, whatever, kick it with them as much as they want. They both play piano, so I'm trying to learn piano
Nice.
myself just so they see me doing it.
Yeah.
And because they look at you and it's huge. Where if you're a father, then your kids will definitely look at you, see what you're doing.
Yeah. And they'll learn how to set and achieve those goals the same way because they're watching and
Oh
learning from
yeah.
you. But whether you like you said fail at something or win at something,
Oh
so
yeah.
that's being present is just so big. And I know you've talked about it on your podcast before, and we've mentioned it several times here. Just having a present father in their life already is setting them up for so much more success in today's society, just automatically right off the bat. It's crazy. Excuse me. So. But I'm actually curious about your answer here because I want to know because we're talking about learning and failure and goals and whether even though this wasn't a failure, what was your mindset? What mindset did you have to take yourself through from when it was, hey, I just lost my 22-year career. I have to find something else to provide for my family. How am I going to do that? What was the mind shift and how did you have to kind of refocus to get yourself to where you are now? You have a very successful podcast. You're an author. You have a cigar line. You already said that you're reaching out to multiple other, high-end men to collaborate with. So what was the mind shift you had to go through to get yourself there?
Well, it didn't come overnight. It was definitely something, a lot of the books that I've read, a lot of podcasts that I've listened to over the years, those have helped me prepare to who I am. I've listened to Ryan Mickler. I've listened
Mm,
to Andy Frisella. Those have been some really big ones. Jocko, I've read his books about being a leader and owning extreme ownership. So there's a lot of great men who have kind of paved a path for me years before my termination. And
mm,
it was just getting physically fit, being mentally fit, being spiritually fit. All these things are key to being a better person, and it didn't happen overnight for me. It was something that I was teaching myself through just learning, reading books, listening to other great men, do show me their walks of life, and that's what I hope to be. If I only reach one person, and that one person reaches a million people, I'm successful. We just hit 75,000 subscribers on our show a couple days ago, and it's huge for us. I mean, we're happy. That's a
that's huge.
success in
Yeah.
the grand scheme of podcasts. It's actually a really small number. I mean, especially when you're looking at people like Joe Rogan, who's got millions of subscribers. I mean, I think
Right.
alone with Donald Trump, he had like 50 million views on that one
Yeah.
show. Elon Musk, the same thing on when he was talking with Donald Trump. So I mean, in the big the overview, 75,000 is not that much, but we're hitting those milestones in our life. But it's because that we set ourselves a different mindset. But when I got terminated from Orange County, I believe it or not, I was actually um, I really wasn't too concerned. I was upset. I was pissed off. And I knew that that was my motivation, that I needed to get back up. I'm not knocked down all the way. I'm just going to get back and keep going. And while it was disappointing and I hated that moment, there was a slight moment that I was like, what am I going to do about my kids and my family? What am I going to do? How am I going to support them? But I already knew that I wasn't too proud to go work at a convenience store or go wait tables. I was never done it
Sure.
before, but I wasn't too proud to go back into the military or go work, at the local Lowe's or something, busting my butt, every single day to provide. I wasn't too proud. I was very fortunate, very blessed. I believed at the time that this was my path. Now that I look back, I can say this. At the time, I didn't know it, but there was a
Sure.
path that God had created for me. And that path was essentially like, I'm going to, this door is going to close with Orange County. It's something that you love, passionate, you were moving up, but this is not where I want you. And I honestly believed that he wanted me to go to another fire service at the time. And I believe that
Mm.
he opened that door because the door opened real quick. I had a job in,
Right.
in 13 days after my
Yeah,
termination.
that
I,
was
I
crazy.
mean, I wasn't too stressed. I prepared myself financially because I was already reading books about finances and preparing myself financially. So I had funds, in my savings account. Blessed because a lot of the guys in Orange County helped me during that Christmas season, so I didn't have to tap into my reserves. So they all came in. Some crowdfunding came in, and I got a nice little bonus for the end of the year, what you could say, just through crowdfunding to kind of get me through my next paycheck, which didn't happen till January. But I'll tell you, I wasn't too concerned because I knew that I was a strong person and I already had my mind set that I was going to drive forward. That this was not gonna. A lot of people said, "I'm glad you landed on your feet." Well, I don't think I really fell down, to be honest. You might have knocked me off my feet, no, knocked me back a little bit, but I was still ready to charge on.
Yeah.
And but going forward, Lake County was a great opportunity. I love my position there. I had a really good time. Met some really great people there, and I think that was my closure because I learned in a year and a half just being in Lake County, you know, the fire service, while I loved it, was there was a bigger thing for me. Raising alphas was something bigger. I was going to finalize my book that year after I left. I was able to have more time with my family. I've been able to travel around the world now and open
Yeah.
up different companies and help other people achieve those goals. I had someone reach out to me tonight and ask me how to open and start their business. So I was on the phone right
Oh,
before jumping on with you guys, like helping this person structure their business and get it ready. And that's part of what I do today is like helping others in a different way. It's not just firemen, it's other people, it's business owners, it's entrepreneurs, it's people that look at themselves in the mirror and go, I'm not just fill in the blank. I'm not just a fireman. I'm not just a soldier. I'm not just a bartender or a waiter. Fill in the blank. They know there's something better, something special. And that's why I help people achieve their goals today now.
it's awesome.
But it's all about
Cousins.
mindset. Absolutely.
It is. It is the mindset and the foundation that you started years ago. Like you had set yourself up. Obviously, you can't plan for what happened to you. You can't plan for, stuff like that, curveballs that life throws at you, the trials that God allows you to go through to grow you, obviously, and challenge you. But I think it's so important that people catch the fact that you said you had started years ago, almost to kind of prepare yourself for this moment so that when it came physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, it wasn't as big of a hit. It was more of like all right, that kind of sucked. All right, let's keep going. It
Yeah.
wasn't a
Yeah.
complete devastating, like, I'm out, tap out, I'm done. So that self, not intuition, but like the self growth and, the reading you did, the podcasts you listened to, the men you emulated and, trained under and worked, under to be more like, and the lessons you learned along the way helped prepare yourself for that moment. And it's just
You
not to
know,
take that for granted.
what our society teaches us today, and this is a lot of things that we talk about on our show, is that you have to do a certain way. You got to go to school. You have to get good grades. You have to go then to college. You have to get a degree. You have to find a job where you're going to work 20, 30, 35, 40 years. And then you're chasing this carrot called retirement your whole life. And the problem is once you chase that carrot, then after 30 years, how old are you? are you able to accomplish some of the things? Have you missed all the birthdays because you're away on shift? Have you missed
Yeah.
traveling? Have you? And this is the thing we're stuck in. It's like, oh man, I get 2 weeks out of the year to go vacation, and then you spend all your money, all your hard-earned money, to go to a place that's overpriced, and you have a good time, and you're not even relaxed during the vacation. You're like stressed out because you're like, I got to see this and this and that and this and this and that, and you don't really get to enjoy the vacation because you're like going, 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 and so you're that phrase that people say when they get back from vacation. I need a vacation from vacation, because you get back, you got to go right back to work. And when you build financial freedom, when you're able to do things like this and you're able to build a company, build a business, you're able to have these opportunities where you can spend a time with your family and you just like, we can just relax. We can come back next week. We can go home and come back next week. Yeah, we can have some fun time and let's just chill out today. And that slowing down is just a great opportunity. But the problem is our education system teaches people to do that, is to go through this sequence of go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a job, work for 30 years, and then retire when you're old.
Right.
That's my problem, is we don't look at other things. And like you can see, I got a ton of books behind me. Some are like firefighter books and EMS books that I still have because I still use it as reference guides, but I have books from all over. I mean, stuff all on here from, the Fire Chief's Toolbox, Guide to Investing, a Relentless, Hands Off My Guns. I mean, everything, The Way of Men, Raising Men. I mean, I look and read at all kinds of different books all the time. And I was never a big book nerd. I was never that. I was a jock in high school. I was a jock in middle school. I freaking loved to freaking kick in doors as a fireman. I was a freaking grunt in the fire service and in the military. I was just a grunt, but what people don't learn is that you can learn from so many people's experiences. And we think that the formal education is the only way to learn. And so you're going and learning these theories and you're not becoming better as a person. You're not becoming better in finances. You're not becoming better at business. You're not learning how to be a better father or a more spiritual leader in your home or anything like that. And these are some of the things that I like to push today, is like, you should be looking for this type of material, not just enjoying. Like I was having a conversation with a friend yesterday. The Super Bowl was Super Bowl Sunday, and they've gotten away from watching football all the time, and I praise them for that. But I took a year off from watching any football last year to really focus on my brand. And so I'm a big Gator fan because I went to school there and I've seen the Gators my whole life. I'd be in the swamp every Saturday. I would leave my kids' soccer game and haul ass up to the swamp and watch the Gators play. And the problem with that is that I was putting my priorities in the wrong place. Okay. And while I love the University of Florida, I spent a lot of money there, but I haven't gotten anything in return. Like, my education really was the only thing I got, and I paid for it. But what I say that is there's so many things that we can do to learn to be better humans, and we just got to take the time. It doesn't have to come from a formal education. But I was saying, this couple that I was talking with, they've started focusing on some things to make them better spouses to one another, physically fit, spiritually fit. And I was telling them their team was in the Super Bowl last night, and I was like, "Hey, are you guys watching?" They're like, "Yeah, we don't really watch that no more." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's your team that's in the Super Bowl." And I get where they're coming from. Like, I guess what I'm saying is that you don't want to spend too much time doing those things where you're not learning other things from other great people,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. You gotta set yourself goals outside of what kind of society's norms kind of tell you. You gotta have your own personal goals to hit, because you're right. Society's just like, hey, go to school for however long to get a piece of paper that might get you a job that might pay you enough to live off of for you to retire when you're 80. And it's like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound fun. That doesn't sound, what about my family? What about what I want to do? Stuff like that.
Ian, you may have heard me tell this story before because I know we've talked a lot, but Mike, this might be the first time, and your listeners might be your first time. But I'll tell you that I was camping up in Montana a couple years back with my business partner, and we were enjoying 4 days out in the wilderness and hiking with our camping equipment, tents, food, everything, backcountry, living out there. Beautiful, beautiful. Sleeping by a lake in the middle of the mountains. And nice. August, it was in August, and it's 30 degrees out at night. It's just beautiful. And Anyways, the final day we come down to the bottom of the mountain, and we have just hiked about 40 plus miles over the last few days. And so we're at the bottom, and we're at an area where people park and do the campsites. And we found this couple. Coincidentally, this couple was from the state of Florida, and the guy was from a city that my buddy Shannon grew up, and the woman was from where I live. And it was pretty funny that we just ran into them. But we asked to hitchhike with this couple to our car. It's about 10 miles north of where we were. Just didn't want to do another 10 miles. We wanted to take it easy. It was our last day out. We wanted to go get some drinks and go enjoy, the rest of Montana. So we were hitchhiking with them, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, are you guys going to climb the mountain at any point while you're here?" And they said they had a van that they had converted into like their living quarters. Beautiful, really cool setup. Okay. And so they're like, "No, we just come here just to kind of take pictures and walk around. We don't have the strength to climb the mountain." And that's when it set into me. Is they're in their mid-60s. They had just retired, made this long trip all the way to Montana, and they weren't able to do what Shannon and I did. And we're about 25 years younger than they are, and they weren't able to do it. They had worked their entire life, finally got to retirement, finally had the cash, and now they're finally going to do it, and they couldn't. And that's when it said to me, is like, man, I'm going to be that guy that's working in the fire service till I'm 60 plus years old, because I loved it so much, because I was passionate about it. But I knew to myself, I was like, you know what? That's not who I want to be. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to spend time traveling. I want to be able to run up and down this mountain with my kids. And that's when it really I cued in to this and go, yeah, this is what I want in my life. But that's part of breaking out of that cycle too.
Yeah. The guys that have those moments early in life, it's so eye-opening. It's such an incredible experience to realize, like, oh, dang, maybe I thought I was on the right path all along, and all of a sudden, it's like hitting a brick wall and looking to the side, and the wall's in the middle of nowhere, but you've got wide open in any other direction.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah.
I remember you saying that before, but yeah, I like the analogy Mike came up with. It's like you're hitting a brick wall, but then you look left or right, you're like, oh, I got all this freaking space I can use to go around.
You can go that way, you can go this way.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Either way, Yeah. Like, why do they keep trying to push through this wall? Yeah. You wonder.
Yeah. So, I mean, some people like beating their head against brick walls sometimes. I guess it's hard to get them to back up far enough to see, hey, the wall stops. You can go around.
You can go around,
yeah.
You can go around.
It's good. So I got a quick question, Chief. As someone who obviously you set goals for yourself your whole life, and you've achieved them, you've accomplished them, learned from your failures, like you've humbly said. What would be some key takeaways, or I guess more like what are some tips to staying consistent with your goals throughout the years, especially when maybe those goals have changed or you haven't achieved them, so maybe you've had to, switch goals. You know what I'm saying? Like, what were some keys to staying consistent?
Well, I think writing things down, and I'm going to mess up this book. Think of Growing. I'm going to mess up this book. We just talked about it in our show the other day, and I've got it in my car right now. I could go get it. It's funny. I have books everywhere, but it's Think and Be Grow or something like that. But anyways, the guy talks about setting standards. I'll just paraphrase. You have to write things down. If you're going to manifest certain things and your goals in life, you have to write things down. And in order to achieve certain things, it's like, be specific. So, for example, if you want to, Ian, you're an engineer out now, right?
No, sir. Still firefighter.
Still firefighter. All right. So you want to achieve the rank of engineer or lieutenant in your career, and you want to do it by such and such time. So you have to write down, I want to be a lieutenant paramedic, and I want to achieve it by this day. Okay. And it's not just 2026 or 2027. It's January 30th, 2027, and you write it down, and you have to be specific, and you have to achieve that's how you achieve those goals, and you're consistent. Well, how do you achieve that goal specifically? Well, as a lieutenant, there's textbooks you have to read. There's promotional standards that you have to go through. So those are things that get those skilled, and the only way that you're going to achieve that is by having it all written down. So if you're going to achieve certain things, if you're going to make your goals, write it down. Do a vision board. I like to do vision boards. So If it's something that a big purchase, or if it's a goal I want to do, or a business I want to open, I create a vision board. And there's all kinds of different apps that you can do, whether it's on, one of your social media apps or Canva or whatever you may have. There's all kinds of things that you can create a vision board, or you can go old school. Go down to Michael's or Joann Fabrics and go get one of those big poster boards, or Walmart,
Do it
and
yourself.
then go get yourself a marker and draw it out. Like, go get like old magazines and rip them out and glue them,
There you
like
go.
something to that extent. But you create a vision board. And
That's my
it's,
speed.
It's not. Is that 31?
Rescue, thankfully.
Ah,
So
oh,
close. Rescue
okay,
only.
good.
Yeah.
So this close.
I don't see that
but
big anymore.
create your vision. Hell yeah. Oh, because you're the diver.
Diver, yep.
Oh yeah,
truck
that's
diver.
right.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Oh.
Diver. Oh, and it's a Quint too. Very cool.
Yeah, they changed it.
I haven't been around in a minute, so I don't know what you guys got over there. Last time I
That's
saw
right.
was an engine that had 3 men on it or something like that. 3 or 4 men. I don't even know. So, but create a vision board. You can go to Joann's, you can go to Michael's, you can go to Walmart, wherever you go, and get yourself a big poster board. Get yourself some magazines. I want to buy this vehicle, or I want to buy this house, or I want to achieve this rank, or I want to have this much money. And a lot of people say, I want to be a millionaire. Like, that's not what you say. You say, I want $1.4 million in my bank account, by this date. And these are the things I'm gonna go and achieve. This is how I'm gonna get there. And the other thing that I'll tell people is you have to give something up. So I talked about, when I put myself into like building a business, building my companies, writing my book, becoming a millionaire, when I wanted to do those things, I wrote all this down. Okay. And then what I did was I gave up something. So my first year, I gave up football. I didn't watch one Gator game. I didn't go to one football game. I didn't watch one Patriots game the entire season. And everybody's talking. And I gave up alcohol. I gave up those things. I gave up something. The other big thing that I gave up was I stopped looking to be in the fire service. I realized at that point that I wanted to do something bigger. And the only way that I was going to be able to achieve to be a millionaire, the only way that I was going to be able to be successful with my business, to be able to author a couple books, was to give up being a fireman, because it was taking too much of my time. And, now I look back, my wife just resigned from her job today. I'm super happy. I've been talking to her about it for a year. I'm like,
That's awesome.
She
awesome.
called, she woke me up this morning with a cup of coffee, and I was like, she looked at me and she goes, I think I'm going to quit today. And I go, and we had been talking about this, and I go, and she's been there for 15 plus years. And she's just like, I think I'm going to do it today. And I was like, okay. And so she texted me and she goes, I think I'm going to do it. And she texted me that. And I said, you got a moment for a call and to talk? And so she called me up and I said, babe, whatever you do, I support you. I said, I 100% support your decision. I said, if it makes you happy to be there and you still want to be there with your colleagues and everything else, then please stay there. But let it be your decision. I said, but we don't need it. We don't need it. Like, we are fine without your job. And I said, this is going to free up your time to be at the house, be with the kids, finish school. She's working on her bachelor's right now. Finish school.
Cool.
We can travel more. These are the things, the goals that we're achieving. And it's because we've given things up to focus on other things. And we created those vision boards. I remember I hadn't made lieutenant yet. I was still a firefighter. And I remember we were living at our old house, and my wife and I, it was kind of our first vision board. We took 2 blank checks and we wrote $100,000 on it, and we put it on our fridge, and we looked at it. And that was like our daily thing that we looked at to make $100,000 in a year. Those were some of the things that we achieved, and I think that is key for anybody. If you're looking at financial freedoms, financial success, if you're looking at improving yourself, there's so many different ways that you can do that, but you have to write it down. You have to be specific. You have to set a time, a goal to achieve that specific thing you're looking for. And then you have to give something up, whether you're big into football or big into baseball or whatever. Give something up that's going to help you achieve those, that you can put more focus on that. I want to be a better dad. that should be just a number one thing. But
Right.
you have to give something up. You should put that focus on that. And those are some of the things that I really try to coach people in today's, because we get away from that. We spend so much time on the damn phone, and we'll spend. Think about it. You look at your phone right now. I guarantee you look at your Instagram or your Facebook or whatever your guilty pleasure is, and you're like,
Right.
holy crap! I spent like 6 hours this week, maybe 7 hours, just doing this,
Just
doing
doom
that.
scrolling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. But it's part of my business too. Is I got to scroll,
Yeah.
I got to like, I got to share, I got to do all that stuff. I wasn't on social media for a long time, and I kind of got told I had to. So, but
Dang.
Oh.
I gotta say, I appreciate you jumping onto this, Chief. This has been, truly, like, we could sit here and probably go for about 6 hours and then some.
I got time.
No doubt. No
Man,
doubt.
I'm
love
looking
it.
for trees in my closet. Yeah.
Jump off. Ian's
No,
jumped off. John looks like John jumped off. So
Yeah, John was having
I'm
phone
going to
issues.
excuse myself, but now
No.
I'll tell you, if you ever make it up here to North Carolina, I'm up in the Crystal Coast, Southern Outer Banks.
yeah. So you weren't even affected by the storms and anything. It's on the east side.
That's way out west.
Yeah, you're out west.
So we've got,
you're out east in the Outer Banks. Yeah.
yep. Some
Yep.
of the guys in our department, we were about 40 miles north of Florence, where it made landfall.
Oh yeah.
Back in, what was that, 2018, 2019. So we moved in, we were set to move in 3 days before it hit. And you can't
Oh, wow.
you can't move into a place. You can't
Right.
get insurance, you can't do anything.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Learning lesson, but yeah, we've got some great departments out here. We've got some great leaders, and I can't wait to share this.
No, that's
Love
great,
it.
dude. We can end it there, man. We're going on an hour. I appreciate y'all's time, Chief. We would love to have you back, man. Oh, we have so much
Yeah,
to
I
talk to you
love
about.
this is what I do nowadays. I get on shows and I love it. I got a show tomorrow and a show the next day. I love recording and conversing with different people from all around the world. It helps me learn from people. The one thing that we talk about on the Raising Alphas project is the Raising Alphas. While we bring on guests, it's for my benefit too, not just as a business owner, but as someone to learn a different perspective. Mike, do you have any children?
Two,
Two? How old are they?
14 and 13.
So I could learn from you. I don't have any teenagers yet. I got a 10 and a 7-year-old. So and they're both boys. If I don't know what it's like to raise girls. I don't know what it's like to raise a teenager. So there's things that I'm constantly learning, like what was your strategy on this and what's your strategy on this? And so that's kind of our concept on the Raising Alphas is we're raising the next generation of leaders, not followers. And that's really our branding is to teach people different things. Is I want to teach people like, you can learn from other things, whether it's books or good podcasts or good men and good women that are just raised by alphas or alphas themselves that are raising those alphas and teaching them to be strong people. I love that about this part of my life now is I get to talk with different individuals. Mike, we just met, but get to learn, your story. It looks like you were a master sergeant, right?
I was.
Thank you for
very,
your
very
service.
privileged. Thank
Very-
you.
very
No, I
cool.
appreciate that.
Very
Privileged. I had some great Marines that I got to work with through my career.
cool. Gunny, right? Or that's an E7.
Gunny is 7. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
88, but Gunny
Yeah.
was
Gunny's
had
an
some good
E7. That's
memories.
E8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
there was some good times in there
Very cool. Very cool.
for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
20 plus?
I did
24?
20 in a month.
20 in a
COVID,
month.
My
20 in
boss
a
saw
month.
COVID coming. He said, "Hey, things are about to get weird. Don't know what it means." And yeah, I'm looking at it, and I said, "You know what? I don't need to stick around for it. I already don't like my boss. I think maybe like your wife. I think today is the day."
Today is the day. I'm walking away. I love it.
Things are
Dropped the
getting weird.
papers.
Time to
They
peace
said
out.
we've
Yeah.
got the watch, and that was it.
What'd you do in the
That's
Corps?
awesome.
I did a whole lot of stuff. I ended up retiring out of the intelligence community though.
Very cool.
So
Very cool.
yeah, I got to travel and see quite a bit.
Yeah.
Bro,
It was
we'll
fun.
have to
That's the
bring
good thing
you
about the
back.
military.
That's what I was gonna say. We'll have
Yeah.
to bring you back,
Yeah.
and y'all will just have like a military vet episode where y'all can just kind of share
Oh, yeah.
stories
Yeah,
and
that'd
share
be amazing.
experiences.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to come back on. We could talk about other things.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation. We got a show. If you're ever in Orlando, we got a studio down in Dr. Phillips area, right around the corner from Ian's station.
Okay.
Actually, I've seen you guys drive by a bunch while I'm over in the studio.
I wave at your little studio every time we go by. I'm like, hey, maybe he's in
Yeah.
there.
Let's set it up. Next time I'm in Deltona, I'll find my way
Yeah, you
down to
come over. You're
Orlando.
not
we
far.
go.
You're not far
Yeah.
from the office.
We got
So,
family.
please.
That'd be great.
Yeah, good
Nice.
That'd
times.
be awesome.
Well, thank you
All
for
right.
Guys,
thank you for having me. Look forward to the next one.
yeah, absolutely,
sounds
Chief.
good.
Thank you for your time. Mike, thank you. And thank you guys for listening to episode. You guys remember? Because I apparently don't. Six
Six.
of
Six.
the podcast. All right, y'all have a good night.
All right. Good night.